Sexual violence is a sexual act committed against any individual without their consent and is a serious human rights violation. It has both short and long-term effects on the social, physical, mental and emotional health of the victim.
The world suffers a lot, not because of the violence of bad people, but because of the silence of good people. So here we stand in front of Bhavans Vivekandanda College to know about the people's opinion on the current issue of sexual violence that has been prevalent in the city lately.
Sir, what do you think is the root cause behind such crimes that are being committed?
In the first instance, such episodes should not happen in a society like India. But if it is happening, it grossly, I blame it on the system that existed in this country for the long time. Because if a criminal commits any crime, they should be punished immediately.
How far do you think is the society responsible for such crimes that are taking place?
Every mother, not only mother, father, they need to educate their child, especially a boy child, how to behave with a woman, how to behave with a girl and the society. It is the major responsibility of the parent. Then definitely there won't be any such cases occur in the future.
With the rise in the number of cases of sexual assault against women, India is now a dangerous place for any girl or woman to live in. Would any girl want to say, "I want to be a daughter of India"? Many expressions of violence are not even considered as crimes. One of the reasons why so many cases in the country go undocumented or unreported because of certain beliefs and values in our system.
The judicial system, which has to be taking care of delivering justice to the victims, is stuck with these appeals and adjournments. And the criminals, either they are getting scot-free or the victims are not getting the justice. That gives enough encouragement for the culprits to commit such heinous crimes, or the prospective criminals take their undue advantage from this system.
I would say that the root cause is the lack of education amongst people and the culture that has been passed on by our elders. I recently watched a video where the elders and even the kids just thought that sexual violence was something normal. This is because of lack of education, and I think that the orthodox and the taboo that sex has been made, it needs to be broken, and sex education must be a compulsory part of every form of education in India. This would help a lot.
Sensationalist solutions such as death penalties are not successful deterrents. Many studies have confirmed this. Sexual violence cannot be combated with quick fix solutions such as a death penalty. Since the problem is a structural one rooted deep in the oppressive structure of patriarchy, caste and racism.
Ma'am, do you think heavy sexualization in the film industry and item songs leads to sexual violence in the society?
See, in today's days, we can see that movie is creating a lot of impact on the youth. So, there should be some movies, I'm not asking that all 100% of the movies should be some good, they have to give some good impact. Maybe some movies which can create such, impact, which can create some respect to women.
Sexual violence ought to be understood from an intersectional lens, where people from certain communities and identities, such as the trans people, or Dalit women are more vulnerable to it. The police even refused to register cases of sexual violence filed by people from marginalized communities, and the media coverage on these cases is also minimal. Tekurani, a 30-year-old Dalit woman, was brutally gang raped and murdered in Komaram Bhim, Asifabad district.
Yeah, parents can communicate to their children accordingly, and it's when in a middle class family, when you actually say this word sex and the parents are like, oh, what? Which is wrong, and they hesitate to talk about it, which is wrong. I feel they should come up, they should talk, and I think communication only can solve this problem.
The sexualizing item songs and all, when you see all those, and when you see a woman, you can only compare those two. the item song and the women. So that is how the society is not turning out to be in a wrong direction.
Sex. The topic of sex is so tabooed in India. It doesn't make sense actually because it happens. It happens, but nobody wants to talk about it. So if they normalize that thing, maybe it wouldn't be such an alien thing for people that has to be got in such immoral ways.
The problem in the society, we are not going deep into the problem. The basic character of a particular individual is framed in the given environment where the person is brought up. And nowadays what we can see is the basic elements of emotions, the positive elements of emotions like affection, love, care, sharing, all these things, most of the children, they are not getting in the proper amount which is needed for a brought up of a child.
Because today, not in the previous days, okay, but today we are into so much of social media and so much of TV, internet and all, 24/7, that is only running in our mind. So I feel that also is playing a major role in such incidents.
That parents don't talk about sex, but they expect that when their son or daughter gets married, they send them to their first line. What are they supposed to do? They won't know. So they have the curiosity. Most of these people, let's face it, they found out about sex through porn, and that gives false expectations and all that kind of stuff. And they think that it's something different, and they go out and they do stuff like this.
Calling rapists monsters obscures the fact that rapists exist in our own social sphere. It reinforces the myth of stranger danger. In 3 out of 4 cases of sexual violence, the perpetrator was known to the victim.
So what can one do to safeguard oneself from sexual violence?
Schools and colleges can start teaching girls about self-defense, and they can take self-defense classes. Along with that, they can also inform them about good touch and bad touch, which will make them aware of what is happening with them actually, because most of them initially are not aware what is happening with them.
The names of the family members and the victims of rape and sexual assault should not be revealed to protect them and their family from further harassment, shame and societal stigma. Section 228A of the Indian Penal Code provides for the anonymity for victims of sexual violence.
Now the men have to adapt with the changing gender equations and all. They are still with that patriarchal mindset or that view of their superiority or entitlement, because of which the women are suffering in their hands. Now the women being little more educated, more progressive, or they are more assertive. So these are some of the reasons the gender dynamics and the gender equations has changed. And it is for the men and women both to adapt to the changes of the society, and only then we can counter this menace of domestic violence.
Whether it happens in the context of an intimate relationship within a larger family or in any structure of society, sexual assault is still a deeply violating and painful experience for the victim. Sexual violence is any act that undermines an individual's gender or sexual integrity.
స్త్రీలపై జరిగే అత్యాచారాలపై మీ అభిప్రాయం ఏమిటి? వాటిని నివారించడానికి సమాజంలో ఎటువంటి మార్పులు రావాలని అనుకుంటున్నారు?
మనం నేర్చుకొని ముందుకు వెళ్లాల్సింది ఏంటంటే, ముందుగా తల్లిదండ్రులు నేర్చుకోవాలి. అమ్మాయికి జాగ్రత్తలు చెప్పడం కాదు, అబ్బాయికి కూడా జాగ్రత్త చెప్పాలి. ఏది ఒక్క రోజులో మారిపోదు, ఒక్క రోజులో ఇటువంటి అభిప్రాయం అనేది మారదు. కాకపోతే ఒక ఆకర్షణ అనేది మగవాళ్ళ మధ్య ఆడవాళ్ళ మధ్య ఉండే ఆకర్షణ, సాన్నిహిత్యం అనేది కేవలం సెక్స్ వల్లనే ఉంటుంది, సెక్స్ వల్లనే సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ వస్తుంది అనేది ఒక రకమైన దుష్ప్రభావం అనేది మనుషుల మెదడులో ఉండిపోయింది.
Rape is used by men as a weapon towards women to portray the superiority in this patriarchal society. Some people say the attire of women is a prelude to sexual violence, but that is not true.
Are we taking care of their aesthetics, their ethical sense, their moral values, the basic the basic system which was provided to the prior generations, I don't think it is provided to the present generation. And that's the reason why I feel that these are the violent activities which are increasing day by day. People may also say that yes, now we are getting to know of so many deeds, some violent deeds which are happening, but prior to this, because of lack of so much of media coverage, we are not able to know about it. But yes, given that fact, still I feel that there is an escalation in this violent activities, and we should always think about giving a very good environment to the children who are growing up, because they are the ones who are going to make tomorrow. Thank you.
Sexual violence is not just rape. It doesn't happen to only certain people. It is not an individual problem but impacts the whole society, and all of us play a role in its prevention. We must help and support women. We must create a safe environment. We must empower women and teach them skills to prevent against sexual violence. We must support the victims of sexual violence and promote norms that protect against sexual violence. Sexual violence is not a problem without a solution. It can be tackled. Let us stop sexual violence together.